Hi everybody, this is Grumpy Old Men, and we're coming to you from the great outdoors, somewhere near Thai Muang. In fact, I think we're still in the district of Thai Muang. This is Steve Ross with an E.
How you doing?
Now, before we go any further, we have to mention that Steve's got a few books that you can buy on Amazon.
Oh, how sweet. Thank you very much. Yes, I do.
I only get a 90% commission, so it's fair enough that we should mention this.
90% of nothing is nothing.
Our coffee has arrived. I'll take this one.
สวยจัง
Thank you very much.
ขอบคุณมากครับ
Cup. Thank you.
ดีแล้ว
And tell us where we are. We're sort of about 10-15 minutes out of Thai Muang
It's
on the way to Khao Lak.
This is pronounced, believe it or not, Chiavisas. Chiavisas Nature Farm. It is spelled Chiavisas. It's a water park. There's a bunch of ponds here and a little river.
All these people lining up to get a new visa or...
No, wrong. Don't come here for that.
No.
But it's a very lovely, quiet, natural kind of place.
Quaint?
Quaint. It's set out in the middle of the rubber groves, and what these ponds were likely agricultural before they were recreational. But it's got blow-up slides for the kids. It's got a big kind of hall that's like an event hall.
Pirate ship.
It's in the shape of a pirate ship. And it's got, like, you could do weddings or events over there. It's got a ballroom, it's got a bar, things like that. But this is just a little restaurant.
And on the road it says 500 metres, but it's about 3 kilometres down this sort of dirt track. But it's very, very quiet. Mm-hmm. I wonder who comes here. But Steve assures me that it does get occasionally busy. But the last time you came...
Yeah, I actually sat in this spot 15 months ago. This was one of the first places I ever found. I was just riding the motorcycle up and down the road from Thai Muang to Khao Lak, and going in driveways and businesses, and it was the height of COVID.
Being arrested?
No, not yet. But it was rainy season, it was the height of COVID, and most places were shut. This place was open. I had a very good tuna fish sandwich and French fries here,
which we tried to emulate again today.
Yeah, with variation of success. But at any rate, yeah, I was here 15 months ago and enjoyed it. And so Tim said, "Where would you like to go today?" And I said, "I'd like to try the tuna fish sandwich again at Chiavisas." So here we are.
And we did.
Yeah, we did.
So we've both got quite a lot to talk about. Steve isn't meant to be here. In fact, he was meant to be away for 2 weeks. Yeah. And I had two very interesting people who were much more interesting than Steve to be on the program.
Really?
Oh, heaven forbid. Yes. So, but unfortunately, Steve came back early.
I'm going to Cambodia.
So,
you would even consider having somebody else on this show than me.
Well, I announced it last week. I was going to be interviewing Sean Stenning from 5 Star Marine about the food program up in the
He's
border.
The sponsor. You can
sponsor, yes.
You can interview him.
But Sean hasn't been available this week, so I've got this fill-in.
I saved your ass.
Who's just turned up from Cambodia. So on Monday morning at about 6 a.m. in the morning, I pick up Steve and I drive him to the Phuket airport and I wave him a whimsical goodbye. "Bye, Steve. Have a good time. Look forward to seeing you." And he walks off, and I thought, oh, thank heavens, we've got rid of him for a couple of weeks. But no, on Wednesday, I'm back home. Yeah. What happened?
Well, Steve discovered Steve does not travel well anymore. I used to be able to live out of a suitcase happily. I used to work on locations in movies and spend 11 or 12 or 16 weeks in a hotel living out of a suitcase, and enjoyed it very much. Now travel is a terrible chore. Air travel, particularly what you go through going through airports and sitting in airplanes, it is no longer an adventure. And Phnom Penh had nothing to offer me because there's nothing I want that's not on Turtle Beach. All I want in the world right now is on Turtle Beach. And it hurts physically to leave that place. I was a mess, man. I was a mess in Phnom Penh. not happy and not stable, and a very poor customer in a couple restaurants who complained about his food.
Did you have any sort of medical help when you were over there that you'd taken from?
No, and I think that might have been part of it.
Okay.
I had no broccoli in Cambodia.
Be careful because we were demonetized last week.
Yeah. So no, the self-medication I've relied on daily since I was 15 years old was not available to me there. And that might have had something to do with it. And people are going to comment and say, Steve, you go get the Happy Pizza here, it's easy. You go get this here, you go get this here.
You didn't know where to go.
I didn't know where to go, and I didn't have any real desire to go because I had already decided I wanted to get on an airplane and go home, and I wasn't going to bring that on an airplane. So whatever I had purchased, I would have had to throw away, which means the paraphernalia with which to consume this product and the product itself. And in a hotel that doesn't allow smoking, I'd have to go outside the front door of the hotel just to have a cigarette. So I suppose I would have had to go out. And people are going to comment and say, these are excuses, Steve. You could have found a way to smoke. You could have found a way. Yeah, if I wanted to stay there, and I didn't.
But usually you go to a foreign country, you speak English. Enough locals around there would speak English so that you could say, where's the restaurant, where's this, where's that, and you'd figure things out. You'd throw your arms around.
Yeah. No, I don't do that. I've spent 35 years trying to learn how to speak Thai.
Did you speak Thai to them?
Yes. You're a little brown person with slanted eyes, therefore you must understand me when I say yada yada yada. And a few did. I found as many people who spoke Thai as spoke English. But I didn't really talk to many people. I explored the 5 or 6 blocks around the hotel. And there was a street there, I don't know, I think it was 308 or something. That was just a street. It was like Walking Street or Patong on a much smaller scale. Just bar, restaurant, bar, restaurant, bar, restaurant, bar, restaurant. And lots of tourists, lots and lots of...
Along the river?
I have no idea how close I was to the river.
Okay.
I only explored the 4 blocks around my hotel.
Steve.
Yeah, I don't...
It's a great place, Phnom Penh.
I'm sure it is.
I'll show you some pictures sometime.
Yeah, that's fine. I just... I don't want to go anywhere. I'm very, very happy where I am.
Did you have any inclination to go and visit the killing fields or any of the sort of the Khmer Rouge paraphernalia?
No, God, no.
No?
No. I can't. I can't.
And why Phnom Penh? You knew somebody there?
No. Well, I do. I did know somebody there, but...
Did you meet them?
No, he was busy. He was busy and didn't have time.
So you paid extra to come back?
Yeah. Yeah, I bought a new ticket. At the airport, they told me, I said, I want to move. I just got... after I'd paid for 2 non-refundable nights in a hotel. So I stayed those 2 nights, and in the morning after that second night, I walked past the terrible breakfast buffet and said, give me a taxi, I want to go to the airport. I went to the airport and I walked up to the AirAsia counter and I said, I want to change the date. I want to get out of here now. I'm supposed to go in 2 weeks. I want to leave today. She said, well, we can't do that here. You have to do that in Bangkok.
So you have to fly to Bangkok to change your ticket.
Yeah.
So then you can fly back to Cambodia to get your change.
And you have to buy a ticket to get to Bangkok to talk to them there. So I said, just sell me a ticket to Phuket. It's $130, something like that. I said, just get me out of here. She said, we have a plane leaving in 10 minutes. I said, I will be on it. And I was. Yeah.
Well
and
done.
when and she could only sell me the ticket to Bangkok. She couldn't sell me a ticket to Phuket. And so I got to Bangkok and I walked up to the air and listen, leaving, there was nobody in the airport. I walked right up to all the counters I needed to talk to people. And in Bangkok at Don Mueang Airport, I walked right up to the counter. I said, I want to buy a ticket to Phuket. She said, we got a flight leaving in 10 minutes. I said, I want to be on it. Both tickets, no line, walked right up to the counter. There was a flight leaving in 10 minutes. I got home at about, 1 in the afternoon, I think. Got home from Cambodia. It was the first country I visited that I'd never been in before since I was 13 years old. And I just felt very out of place. I couldn't speak speak to anybody.
Do you know
It was
what?
dirty. It was filthy. Go on.
You got a phobia, and
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Uh-huh.
It's called hotophobia, fear of travel.
Oh, yes, yes,
So Steve is a hotophobiac.
yes. I am, and kudos
Amongst
on that
other
word.
things.
Kudos on that word. Oh, I got a shit ton of tics and phobias and obsessions and compulsions and everything else. I'm a walking DSM. But yeah, that I'm perfectly happy to cop to that, because now I'm back on my beach and I will never leave. I'm not leaving that beach. Never again, never again.
So what was the feeling when you arrived back at the time? Sorry,
Oh,
Turtle
home.
Beach.
Home.
Home.
I'm home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was it. I'm home.
Well-
and look how clean it is. Chamnan is much cleaner than me, and he leaves the place much cleaner than I do.
You left, the 2 days you were away, it was like hurricane, whatever you want to give it a name. It was horrible. And they were the first 2 days that I was living there. As we speak today, it's we've got blue skies and it's a lovely day.
Gorgeous today. Gorgeous.
In Turtle Beach, Thai Muang. But you missed the worst
Mm-hmm.
days. I was surprised. It was like a scene out of The Wizard of Oz with
It's
your house
apocalyptic.
disappearing up
Yeah.
the tornado.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It comes in hard, and that's why those fishermen haven't left the beach.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet, no. Yeah, it is, honest to God, I've paid twice now to have the locks and, come on, Steve, not axles, hinges. God, the locks and hinges on my front doors replaced twice because the wind is constantly shaking these doors like
Now, we
this.
have mentioned that you are in an unusual place along the beach, which
Yeah.
has, most of the time, a beautiful unscreened view. But I've got trees.
Yeah.
I can see the water under the trees, but the trees do break a lot of the
Yeah.
wind. Speaking of breaking wind, but it is an advantage when it gets very, very rough.
Yeah,
But for you, you're
yeah.
open to the tornado.
My neighbor Chamnan's father in the not Chamnan, Tien, the guy who tried to open the broccoli store. His father in the 1970s cut down all the trees. Never mind, it's a national park. He cut down all the trees in front of his house because he was going to plant coconuts, and then I guess he never got around to planting coconuts. So it's the only spot on 13 kilometers of beach where there's no trees between the houses and the ocean. And that's my house.
I've been informed by the locals that I've got a very, very tasty mango tree growing in my backyard. So when we cleared up the backyard, it looks great now, by the way, we've kept the mango tree, given it a bit of a trim, and apparently the locals, they're just thinking how they're going to get in to get the mangoes when it's mango season.
Now
which
that
is-
they've all been climbing over the walls, I'm sure. I would guess 3 years your place has been empty. Mine was empty for 3 years before I rented it. I would guess yours. I saw the inside before you did. I would guess at least 3 years, at least COVID. Your
Yeah,
places
well,
have
somebody's
empty.
been in there before.
But,
a
I mean-
Russian, apparently, because I went to change the name on the internet. There was a Russian gentleman's name
Ah.
there.
Well, for as long as it's been empty, they've been climbing over the walls and getting those mangoes. Now somebody's living there
Well, I'm going to
they're
be sitting
wondering-
on the back porch on my
Yeah.
rocking chair,
with this double-barrel shotgun.
with my gun, waiting for them.
Yeah.
Come and get my mangoes. So we'll see how we go. Now, I've had a bit of an adventure too.
Yes, tell us about that.
Do you want to
dog biscuit?
Do you want to see my wounds?
Don't he's got wounds. Take my word for it.
By the way, the camera is moving, and that's the wind, and
Yeah.
I don't care.
And we're not supposed to talk about it anymore.
No, so we won't talk about the camera moving, and the table, that's reasonably stable. But yeah, I got bitten by a dog this morning. I took possession of a beautiful white new bicycle. First bike I've bought, God, in about 40, 50 years. So, because I thought, I'm going to, we've got this great big long 4 or 5 kilometre stretch of straight flat road along the beach. Is it 10 kilometres up to the national park?
No, it's 5 to the gate of
To
the
the
park,
gate.
and another 5 to the circle, which is the disused tin mine.
Right.
And 5 back and 5 back.
I haven't
all
been-
together. That's why we have marathons, because it's 5, 5, 5, 5. It's 20 kilometers exactly.
I haven't been past the national
gate?
park gate. I'm not going to pay.
Yeah. So that's 5 kilometers out and 5 back. That's
Okay.
10 kilometers.
All right.
Yeah,
So
good
I
for
thought-
you. Good for you.
Up and back, great. My quads were burning. The first
That's what
day.
drew the carnivores. They
Yes.
smelled the blood throbbing in your arteries.
So I was just having a casual ride around one of the back roads today, just behind your house and near my house on the way back home. And there were a few soy dogs in the distance, and I thought, oh, just, take a bit of a wide berth. I don't want to disrupt whatever they're doing. Nothing. And one just tore after me and just went right on my calf, on my right leg. So I got home sort of bleeding and limping and going, and I thought, rabies. So I've been in Thailand long enough to know that there are some dogs, not many these days, but rabies is still a bit of a thing. So this should only take half an hour to tell the story.
Go on.
So
we have no duck this week, so rock on, brother
Yes.
man.
So luckily we've got a very convenient little clinic about
Yes.
500 metres away. So I took my way up there. English speaking assistant. I think she might be the doctor's wife. And she, where are you from and what's happened? And oh dear, we'll have to get you in to see the doctor. And put me ahead of a few locals there, because
They do.
white skin and all that.
Yeah.
And he said you're going to have some rabies shots. And when did you have your last tetanus? I thought probably when I was about 10 years old. So I had to get tetanus boosters as well. So I've in total about 7 injections I've got to have over a period of 3 or 4 months. So I could show you where I've had the injection. I could show you the scars.
That's your left leg, by the way.
Oh, it is too.
Yeah.
But I was looking from.
The camera reverses everything.
There you go.
So,
I was doing it. For them, Steve. I had it all figured out.
Sorry, boss.
So it's been a bit of an eventful week for both of us.
Yeah, more. I was feeling pretty sorry for myself until I saw your shredded skin there. Yeah.
It's, but they've taken a chunk about this big out of my leg, and big open wound, and I don't know if I'll ever walk again.
Maggots. Yeah, it's churning with maggots, but they leave the maggots in because they eat the dead flesh.
Well, you've seen it all, so this probably does nothing for you. No. Anyway, been a bit eventful. But you returned to the welcome arms of Chun Nam and the warm bosom of Turtle Beach. And I've been bitten by a dog.
Yeah. And I think, Cham Nan, I think he loves me like a brother. But he was looking forward to having the house to himself for 2 weeks. My house is his clubhouse. It's
Had
where
to
he
cancel
gets
the parties.
Yes, he gets away from his wife, and I think probably he might have a friend over or two if I'm not there, and he's got his own key.
Steve,
And
let's face it, this is the best relationship you've ever had.
Certainly the least risky that I've ever had in Thailand. Yeah, I have had other male friends that I've been close to and other female friends that I've been close to. But here, right now, he's certainly a benefit in my life. He's a boon in my life. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I am in his too.
I'm sure.
He's never had so much money in his pocket. Literally, in his life, he has never had so much money in his pocket.
Well, I test drove the local clinic, and he's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, I had said I'm going to go establish care at that clinic. It is the closest medical office to my front door.
You better book out half the day.
Well, perhaps, yeah. I'm going to have the surgery on October 15th, 16th. And then I will have to come back and get the wound cleaned and dressed and then eventually stitches taken out. I don't want to drive over the mountain to Phang every day for a wound cleanse. So I want to establish care with this doctor so that I can get that done on the street where I live rather than having to pay a taxi. It's 1,400 baht round trip. Yeah. Yeah, it ain't cheap.
Um,
We don't have taxis in Thai Muang.
No.
No, so there's somebody who has a car who'll take a day off work to drive you around.
Well, I
but
would.
they want to be, not you.
But I'll drive you to the little clinic. It's a lot more convenient.
I did take, by the way, the B&B taxi service to the airport on my way out, and it was wonderful. The driver was very polite. And
You were sitting in the back whinging. You're going too fast.
What's that?
Can you
Sounds
stop
like
at the
me.
7-Eleven? I want to get a coffee.
Yeah, cigarettes. I need cigarettes. Can I smoke in this taxi? Yeah. But yeah, if you're thinking of staying at the B&B, the airport pickup and drop-off service is delightful.
But you didn't get the blue Mercedes. You just got
No, I didn't get the
the crappy
blue
old
Mercedes.
white Honda.
Yeah. Yeah, no selfie opportunities in
So
a
the
Honda.
doctor's going to say to you, oh, tell us what's wrong with you. Well,
How much time have you got?
have a seat,
Yeah.
and here we go.
But at least I can describe everything wrong with me in the correct medical jargon. And doctors have told me, typically people who go into the doctor won't know what to tell the doctor. For instance, if you're having chest pains, are you also having jaw pains? And if you don't know the two are connected, you won't tell the doctor. You're also, because you'll think it's a toothache, and you're going to save that to tell your dentist. So typically, drawing the pertinent information in an examination, in a SOAP examination, subjective objective assessment plan, which is virtually every medical encounter that ever takes place anywhere in the world, goes along those lines. Subjective, my stomach hurts. Objective, you've got tenderness in the lower right quadrant. Assessment, you've got an inflamed appendix. Plan, we're going to remove the appendix. Every single medical encounter follows that recipe. And typically getting the right information out of the patient is very difficult. Not with me. I go in there with the whole thing in my head, composed in in Latin, and doctors are very happy to see me.
Apparently.
Yeah, the job had very few perks, but that's one of them. Doctors love me.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie The Great Escape?
Oh, many times, of course. Yeah.
Well, my cats have seen it too.
Yeah.
Because I've moved and I'm reasonably settled into the place. I've got a few boxes left to unpack. Cats aren't happy. They're saying, when are we going back home? Now, they're sort of, they're behaving fairly normally and they're eating normally, but you open the door and let them in. Now, I thought the backyard was pretty secure. It's got, I don't know, how tall is that wall?
8, maybe 9 feet.
I was going to say, but nearly 3 metres.
Yeah.
There's a few trees, and they are much more nimble than I thought they were. And they just straight for the tree, and before you can go, they're gone. They're on the and they're. So we've had a few crazy days, and yesterday I was crawling along the roof. These are these crappy old concrete roofs.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure I was about to fall through. Fall through them, and going Dusty, and I had the bag of dry treats, shaking them because that's a sound that she knew, and I'm up there kneeling along this roof, going Dusty, shaking the plastic packet, and the locals are down on the bottom, staring up, thinking this stupid farang.
There's no mangoes this time of year. What are you doing in the tree?
Quick, go to the mango tree. He's not around. So I've having to be very, very careful with the cats. I'm told I have to keep them indoors or sort of enclosed for about 2 weeks until they reset their GPS.
Talking about the roofs, my boss, I did a movie called Heaven and Earth in Phuket, and I was the lead man.
Oliver Stone?
Yeah, directed by Oliver Stone. One of his Vietnam trilogy, by far the weakest movie of the Vietnam trilogy. But we were shooting on Soi Romani in Phuket town, and it was supposed to be Saigon 1968. There's all these television antennas up on the roof. Now, this would have been mid-90s sometime, so Phuket was already like on cable TV, so most of these perhaps all of these TV antennas were defunct. So the movie company got permission to go up there on these roofs and take down all these antennas, because there weren't TV antennas on roofs in Saigon in 1968. So my boss, Guido de Curtis, another New York prop man, was up on one of those houses, one of those shop houses, those 3-story shop houses in Soi Romani, and he went right through the ceiling, right through the floor, underneath that ceiling, and onto the floor below, and he broke every bone in his left arm from the tip of his little finger to his collarbone. And that was his last day on the movie, except they kept him. He was all wrapped up and he needed physical therapy and everything. So they kept him on the payroll, and he got to recuperate in the hotel and everything. But yeah, you have to watch out for those roofs.
I was sure I was going to be going through it. Soit Romani used to be a bit of a red light district.
It was still then too. Yes.
It would have been. Phuket town, which is on the opposite side of the island of Phuket to Patong, which now is much more popular. It used to be sort of a rollicking old pioneering town of traders and
tin barons,
and Chinese merchants
and Tong triads and Japanese deserters after World War II. And the Italians of Naihan, I'll tell you what, it's Casablanca. That island's history. There used to be, I interviewed a missionary named Arthur Clark, not the writer. He was an Adventist. We have the Seventh-day Adventist hospital there because the Adventist missionaries were the first missionaries on Phuket. And he was the priest at the, if that's what Adventists call their clergy, minister, priest, pastor, whatever, on Phuket for like 50 years. And I got to interview him at the very end of his life, and he was telling me all of these amazing stories, any one of which would make a wonderful movie. The history of that island as a crossroads of all kinds of agendas and people and cultures and budgets and economies and goals and dreams and ideals. The island of Phuket has had a very storied history, and someone should really write a book about it. Wait, I did. Let me just throw that out there.
Which you can buy on Amazon.
Yeah. I've written 5 about it.
What do you type in Steve Ross with an E?
Yeah, just type in Steve Ross with an E.
And you'll find it.
Yeah.
90% commission. So all they need to do is discover oil on Phuket now, and off it'll go on its next journey.
It was, at one time, the world's 5th largest producer of tantalum, tin ore. 5th largest in the world, and in World War II, the Japanese got there as quickly as they could, and they took all that tin ore. It was a very valuable resource in World War II.
We used to call, ever since I can remember, the tins that you buy, like spaghetti or the vegetables or whatever, we used to call them tins. Is there any tin in a tin?
I would doubt it this day. I mean, this day and age, plastic is taking over the packaging industry. If there's anything still made of metal, I would guess it'd be aluminum, but I don't know.
Why did we call them tins?
Well, I think originally they were. Wasn't
tin.
It? I heard somewhere that tinned food, tinned meat, was what allowed Napoleon to go as far as he did. He was the only one who could carry enough food to feed his army for the length of a campaign, because the French had developed tinning meat, and it was in tin at that time. And I don't know how much of the industry is still tin. My guess would be most of it is aluminum now.
So, question for both of us, I don't have an answer, is what on earth do you use tin for these days?
Yeah.
Is it used in the space program or...
Yeah, bronze.
There you go.
Bronze.
You make bronze out of tin.
Don't you? Yeah. Bronze is copper and tin, isn't it? No? Steve got it wrong. Somebody look that up. We'll wait.
Oh, boy.
We'll wait.
They'll tell us. Don't you worry about that.
I know you're doing it right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let us know where Steve got it wrong.
So we do this program once a week. I thought I was going to have 2 weeks off, but here we are doing a slightly impromptu. And it almost didn't happen, did it? Because you didn't know where this place was.
I was here 15 months ago, and I haven't been back. And I'm sorry I haven't been back. I'm realizing again just
very
how
relaxing.
I enjoy this place.
Nobody here.
It's not really spendy. It's not that expensive. It's a little more, I'm spoiled because in Phuket town I eat for 50 baht. But not Phuket town, in Thai Muang I eat for 50 baht. So everything seems expensive to me. But it was a pretty decent tuna salad, and I'm going to leave it right there because I love these people and I love this place, and I'm not going to diss them in public.
But they've got a bit of Farang food, a lot of Thai food, of course, and but it's
And the menu's in
Quite.
Thai. The menu's in Thai.
Now, you've got a few other topics to talk about there, so we can briefly address those.
This is a topic that was submitted, and again, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm lazy. I don't write down names of who asked these questions, but this was a question submitted by a viewer, and I thought it was a really interesting question. He said, Thailand is, generally speaking, a very conservative society, which is very true, and yet they have this flamboyantly open commercial sex industry. How do we reconcile these two facts, both of which are facts? We can see. We can all point to examples of conservatism in Thai culture, and then point to this flashy, glitzy, big sex industry.
You read in any of the manuals when you're about to come to Thailand, it says, now, don't wear a singlet, and you have to wear like a shirt when you go to a temple, and wear long pants here, and don't wear a bikini on the beach, and think, oh, okay, it's a very conservative society. Then you go for a stroll down Soy Cowboy and go, oh.
Yeah, it's the wild, wild west.
So, go on. Why?
Well, I don't know. I think it's a compelling question, and I've thought about it. I haven't come up with any definite answers, except that all Asians appear to me to be very adept, at compartmentalizing. We've all known sex workers who have a tirak, who's supported her for years, and she feels some kind of love for this man who's supported her and her family for years, but at the same time she still has a husband and 2 kids on the farm that he doesn't know about and he can never know about. So when they go to visit her family farm, there's, among all the relatives, there's this one fella she calls P, elder brother, and that's her husband. And she's very adept at having this life, which pays the bills, and this life, which is the man from high school she fell in love with and had 2 babies with. And she's very good at compartmentalizing, at dividing these 2 worlds. And I think that...
And not really going through
no
any irony in her mind.
No, there's no cognitive dissonance. They both fit perfectly in her head as perfectly normal, perfectly natural. And I think that, also the idea of what is conservative, and I'm not going to get into politics, but I think there are some very radical people selling themselves as conservative these days. And in my mind, conservatism and reactionaryism is not the same thing. But I think this culture is very, very conservative in some places, not where we expect it, but that's more because we bring our own cultural preconceptions with us. We have an idea of what a conservative person might say about commercial sex. That is not, apparently, what a conservative person in this culture might say about that. The person who owns that knocking shop probably goes to the temple every week and makes merit and sends their kids to a private school and would never, ever cheat on his wife. But he owns a business that sells sex.
Having said that, politically and generally in the society, a lot of the people that work in the sex industry are not looked up to. They are sort of shunned to a degree.
Yes.
So... yes, whilst they can turn a blind eye to the fact that it's happening, they don't necessarily treat sex workers with, any respect at all.
But sex workers get a lot more respect than a rice farmer. Everybody in this country is on the hierarchy, right? 7 pronouns that mean you, and which pronoun I use when I address you to say, Tim, do you want to go eat lunch with me? That pronoun is dependent on our relative rank and status.
I'd be on the highest ranking.
Yes, I would have to use tan to speak to you. And so everybody is ranked. And so certainly these whoever works in that industry or this industry is going to get ranked. Whether you work in the auto industry or the sex industry or a restaurant, you're going to be ranked by absolutely everybody you meet for your entire life. And it happens that sex workers are below celebrities, rock stars, office workers, shop girls, but they are above beggars, criminals, and rice farmers.
When you were young, just a few years ago...
Who remembers that?
Who did you look up to, or who were you expected to look up to in society regarding a profession? For me, it was bank manager and priests. And isn't it funny over the years how we now put both those professions somewhere down near the bottom?
Yeah, it's all fluid, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, time changes everything. Yeah, I don't know. You know, my mother was a teacher, and so I grew up respecting teachers and still enormously respect people who give their lives to teaching. I think that's a calling. And to me, those people are above other people I might respect, like cops, firemen, EMTs, doctors, emergency room doctors, people like that. I still will put a teacher above those as much as I respect those people. Yeah, but that's because I grew up in that house. Other than that, I wanted to be
shit beaten out of you if you didn't respect your mother.
No. We don't hit. In my family, we say terrible, terrible things that we can never take back. That's what we do. Sometimes I would have preferred to have been hit.
Different type of assault.
Yeah, but it's and we're just very verbal. We're not physical people. We're not athletic, but we talk all the time. And so, yeah, in my family, you want to hurt somebody, you pick out their weakness and you talk about that. You know, but at any rate, yeah, that's conservatism versus this. Anything else on that?
I would be interested to know what you think about that particular thing, because it is a thing that just about everybody that arrives in Thailand, they will arrive with one idea, but when they're walking around, they'll be, how does this sort of all marry together? And that's one of those things that we can never quite understand how this, from outside, appears to be relatively conservative society cope with having this crazy sort of in-your-face sex industry.
They apparently cannot cope with dispensaries on every block, but they can cope with a knocking shop on every block and somebody selling lao khao and cigarettes and beer. All of that they're fine with.
And we found out during the week from some of our valued viewer exactly what was in that lao khao. It's tobacco and...
Oh no, that was lao.
The stuff that
lao
Chang
dong
Nan sticks up in his nose. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So thank you very much for the feedback. One more thing, and then we'll have to go.
All right. I provincialism. This is.
There's 77 provinces.
There are.
So
and they don't like each other.
There's 76 provinces and Bangkok.
Right. Yeah. And
before you jump on the internet,
you know, there's a lot of provincialism in Thailand. I bring this up because of two things. You know, people come and visit me. A guy came and visited me talking about retiring to Thailand. He's going through a divorce and he's talking about going to court to keep half his stuff and yada yada. And I really want to, Steve, I love the way you live. I want to find a beach like Turtle Beach, yada yada yada. And so he's hanging out and we're talking. And one of the things he said was, boy, you know, I can't help but think that Thai men must hate us. I said, why? Why would they hate us? Well, they look at us and they think, you know, these guys are making all our women into prostitutes. Dude. Still, you know, promise me you're not going to sign a lease for at least a year, dude. You need to learn. You need to read a book. You need to watch a few movies. You need to live here and listen and learn some Thai. We're not making anybody prostitutes. The industry existed for 700 years in this. You know, and I've said it before, Axel Alwyn makes the point in The Falcon of Siam. In the kingdom of Ayutthaya in the 16th century, the second most powerful group in the kingdom behind the royal family was the Courtesans Guild, the collective bargaining unit for prostitutes. That's, you know, 16th century. But what I wanted to bring up about provincialism, we come in here and we got blinders on. You know, we're at sea. We think we understand this place, but we don't.
Oh, no, we don't.
So somebody, I said to somebody, you know, I live in what used to be a sushi restaurant. And I said, why didn't it succeed? Was it COVID? They said, no. It was run by two Germans. And I said, well, you know, the Germans typically, in my experience, I had a German grandmother. In my experience, Germans are fairly responsible and sober and ambitious people. And my interrogator said, yeah, but they're not from Thai Muang, so nobody would help them because they're not from Thai Muang. And he's saying this like, Steve, why? It's obvious, right? And I said, you mean because they're Falang? And he said, no, they're just not from Thai Muang. He said there was another guy, he had a wife from Isan, and he opened a shop down here, a Thai guy, and he opened an ice cream shop. And nobody would buy ice cream in his shop because his wife's from Isan. And, we're from the South. We don't like Isan people. And so nobody would buy ice cream in his shop. So if you're a Falang and your partner is from Isan, don't try to open anything in South Thailand. Or good luck, Understand, go into it understanding that they'll look at her like she's a Falang. They're not going to look at her and say, oh, she's Thai, I'm going to help her.
Outsider.
Yeah, she's an outsider.
So you think it's a thing?
Well, I think someplace like Phuket, where there's no Phuket people anymore, they left a generation ago.
Sure.
Everybody's Isan or Nepalese or Russian.
Moving in for the
Yeah,
kill.
they're all from somewhere else. So I think a place like Pattaya, Chiang Mai, Bangkok, Phuket, it doesn't matter. But man, you want to go live in the boonies like this, that's great. Go live and bring your Isan partner or your Central partner, your Northern partner, or your Japanese or your Malaysian partner, whatever you've got. But understand that she or he is not going to be your ticket into that community because she's an outsider just as much, if not more so, than you.
Yep. Now that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Provincialism. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So I've moved all the way from Phuket to Phang, a journey of half an hour, and I'm feeling shunned, pushed aside, left out of society.
I'm trying to be your friend. What am I doing wrong?
You're not a local.
Yeah, true.
I haven't been invited to any dinner parties.
You had a funeral in your front yard, and they didn't even invite you to that.
Exactly. It was nearly my funeral today when I was bitten by the dog.
Yeah.
I may still succumb to my injuries.
Yeah, and some guy was probably shouting out a window, hey, you leave my dog alone.
Yes. And before you even think about it, don't say, how's the dog? The dog's fine, all right?
He's king of the street now.
I know who that dog is, and I'm going to go and give them a little visit. I wouldn't hurt the dog. I don't hurt animals, but I'll be alerting the local municipality. I'm sure they'll be very happy for my input. That there's a dangerous soy dog, and I want to make sure that thing's immunised. If it's going to bite anybody else, at least avoid getting rabies.
That's the mayor's dog, dude. You're not gonna, no traction to be had there, man.
He was a fairly
I
large,
wish you the best of luck.
Ugly dog.
You know who you may want to talk to? Pat, one of the other three Falang who lives on our street, down at the end there by the college. He was bitten by a dog on Mai Khao Beach on Phuket, and he managed somehow to get the canines removed from that dog. He got the owner to take that dog to a vet and have its canine teeth removed. A beach dog. Yours was a soy dog. This was a beach dog. He was jogging on the beach one morning.
Might have been a beach dog, but just moonlighting along the street.
On the windy days, they go behind that first row of houses. But yeah, you could talk to Pat and see somehow he managed to get this animal taken, sedated, operated on, recuperated, and brought back to the beach.
And I wasn't doing anything. Before I get all the messages, I wasn't doing anything to encourage these dogs. I saw them in the distance there, and I thought I'll just steer around them. But no, that dog decided it was hungry.
Now, I've told you about Uli. We have a retired German police officer who worked in the canine corps. For like 25 years or something. And he rides his bike every day. And he's a funny kind of Falang because he wears Levi's and
bang.
Yeah, well, he's all wrapped up like a Thai person. He's riding a bicycle in the sun, in the heat, in the dry season. And I said, how do you do that? And he said, well, I just wear 7-8 shirts a day. They're all identical. He has these sort of uniform shirts he buys in Germany. And they're all long-sleeved and 100% cotton and buttoned down. And he'll wear 5 or 6 or 7 in a day. He'll just keep taking them off, putting on a fresh one. But Uli goes on his bicycle armed. He has tricked out the bicycle. He's got a club attached to the frame. And then he's got a box on the handlebars that he can flip with one hand, flip the lid off, And he makes bombs. You know the firecrackers they sell in the stores? The kind that you throw down and they go crack.
Bang.
He'll put 10 of those in a piece of tissue paper and twist it up. And he'll have 7 or 8 of these bombs on his bicycle. Bam! They're really loud. And that's how he deals with the dogs.
Sure.
And dealing with dogs was his career. And
It's done nothing to discourage this particular dog.
No.
That dog saw me and said,
Yeah.
lunch.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I ride the bike every day on the beach road and go past 50 dogs. And
See, you're just not as appealing
they
as
can't
me.
even get out of my way. I swear to God, because there's no other traffic on this road, and they sleep in the middle of the road, right? And they don't even get out of my way. I have to go around them like this.
That's
they
what
won't stand up.
That's what I thought I was doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, and before you destroy that sachet of sugar,
I got a lot of nervous energy.
thumping the crap out of the thing.
Yeah.
So I suppose I should say welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next week's guest, I was going to be interviewing the new Prime Minister of Thailand, but
He's here today.
he is. In fact, I was going to suggest we go out and say, hey, can we have a quick chat with you?
Yeah.
He
Come
was
here.
going to be our third guest.
Yeah.
But he pulled out, which I thought was a bit rude.
Well, he decided he's neither grumpy or old enough to join us.
Oh, he's old enough. He's 61.
All right.
He
Kid.
passes muster
Young
because
punk.
they're going to be putting an airport
Yeah.
15 minutes away from where we live.
That's why I suddenly realized they built that huge, useless 6-lane road, right?
Yes.
Right? That everybody's been saying, why the hell did you build millions and millions of dollars out here in the middle of nowhere? There's this huge highway. Now I know why.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bit of forward planning for
Yeah.
those people that
They were
complain
already
don't.
assuming, they must have been assuming 5 years ago this thing would get done.
So it's going to be about 5 kilometres out east of Kokloy Township. And to get there, it'll be 15 minutes north of Phuket. You go over the bridge. The idea is it's going to be a new big international airport because poor old Phuket airport is constrained by,
Yeah.
well, they built the airport and then everything else sort of moved around it and constrained it. And they've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Even with the runway, even if they could extend the runway, which they probably could, even out into the water, or build a sort of a road over the top of Tepkasatri Road, for those people that know Phuket, they can't do anything with the terminals. They can't make the terminals. If they make the terminals bigger, they're going to need more car parking. So Phuket Airport is dead in the water.
And everything in Phuket is hemmed in by mountains.
Yes.
So there's a lot about the flight paths. There might be a piece of land over here they could expand into, but you can't fly a jet into it. So
I can't think of anywhere in Phuket where you'd get 3 flat kilometres for a new runway. I just don't think there is any more. So they're looking at, it's going to be called the Andaman International Airport. I think in the next 15, 20 years, if you're coming in internationally from overseas, you'll probably land at this new airport and then head into Phuket from there.
yeah,
Anyway, that's why the Prime Minister's here.
I agree.
He was going to come and see us, but he said, I've got to go and talk to people about this silly airport. So I said, okay, next week we'll catch up. But you're going to be back next week as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. You have anybody on you want. I work for you. This is your channel. You are doing me the favor by inviting me to be here.
It's so
And
true.
yeah. So I'm happy. If you want me to take a week off, I'll take a week off. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, of course. This is your party, dude.
Whoa.
Yeah, I got my own channel to play with. I don't need your show.
So, by the way, we've mentioned that you can go to Amazon and buy Steve's books. You can also, if you're a real sucker for punishment, you can go to his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you're building all these amazing sets in your home. Have you shot anything on them yet? You got the shop you were building.
Yeah.
And then you've got a shop house, the front of a shop house.
Well, yeah,
they're the same story.
That's the next. Yes, that's the next
okay.
Boontongs video. It's called Rain. It is the first story.
Called Tim Goes to Patong.
No, it is the first story in a book called Thai Vignettes, Phuket Vignettes.
Can I be the main character in one of your... I've got the action figure already.
Well, I have thought about asking you to help me because my Aussie accent is terrible, and there are stories that have an Aussie character who has to speak. And
G'day, mate.
I have thought of asking you to come in. But it has taken
I don't
me.
charge much.
I wasn't going to pay anything, but it has taken me so long to build this shop house because it's so intricate and so big.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I really want to do it right because I love this story. I think it's some of my best writing.
It's not much smaller than a real shop house.
It is one fifth scale, I think. The figures are a foot tall, so probably 1/6 scale.
There you go.
And yeah, I'm building right now the facade. The store itself is basically done, but the facade, because it is raining, I also have to build a rain rig. I have to make it rain practically in my living room. Practically meaning actually in my living room. So that's the last step, to build a rain rig. But the camera is going to come in. The camera's going to come in through the rain into the front door of the shop house, and then at the end of the story, it will again track back, and come out the door and show you the shop house. So there are 3 shop house entrances. It is that wide, and it's about the whole set will be about 6 feet wide and 6 feet deep when it's done. And I'm probably 4 or 5 or 6 weeks away from getting it done. But I've got videos there. You know, I've got other sets. I've got, of course, Boon Tongs, the very best beach bar in Thailand.
Yes.
I've got 7 or 8 videos shot in Boon Tongs.
There's another Australian that may be available. What's his name? Used to run Fox.
Rupert something.
Rupert yes.
Miller, Rupert, something.
He might be available.
Yeah,
he's sort of got that older, gravelly voice. He's 92.
I'll reach out to his office and see if he's available, what his rate is. You know, now the strike's over. The Hollywood Writers' Strike is over. Everybody's prices are going to go up now.
Somebody posted a meme during the week saying Rupert Murdoch's been called urgently back to the office because somebody at Fox told the truth.
Yeah, can't have that.
That's humour, by the way. I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
No,
don't comment.
But it was very
funny.
It
was a joke.
Anyway, Rupert might be available. Leave that on the ground.
I've lost my fidget spinner. We have to finish. We have to stop
now.
Oh, thank you.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye. I love you. Thank you very much.